have to say anything. This is great. Just have 30 seconds. You know, Trisha, how you doing? Yeah, I'm well. You know. Yeah, you too. Kezia, good day? Yeah. Aw. Oh. Absolutely. Okay, I'm not asking anyone in the audience any more questions. All right, we're ready to start. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. My name is Erin Benjamin. I'm the president and CEO of the Canadian Live Music Association, and I want to welcome you here. I'd like to start off by looking into the camera and saying, get well soon, Jesse Kumagai, the CEO of Roy Thomson Massey Hall, who was to host us today, but couldn't be here because he's under the weather. So you're stuck with me right off the top. I would like to begin by thanking you again for joining us in this beautiful space, both in person and on the live stream. I want to acknowledge that this glorious building and all of us gathered here today are on the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit. The Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples also share this land, territory that is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples as well. At the Canadian Live Music Association, we strive to protect, preserve, and of course, support Indigenous identities and voices. And we are so grateful to be together with all of you on this very special land. So, ask any live music fan or artist about why live music matters, and they will tell you. But for economists and policymakers, it's fair to say that the recognition of the impact and the importance of the live music industry has been largely overlooked. And today, we are here to change that. Here and now, the first ever economic impact assessment of Canada's live music industry comes at a pivotal moment as a surge in global interest begins to highlight and capitalize on the economic significance of live music that complements its very well-known social and cultural value. So why this and why now? Well, the numbers tell us that live music isn't just an opportunity, but that it's a solution to the kinds of complex problems we are facing today as a country and as a planet. The small, medium, and large venues, clubs, concert halls, festivals, arenas, and other amazing live music spaces that connect artists with their fans form a vast, multifaceted indoor and outdoor ecosystem. This is the system that facilitates live music and its massive supply chain across Canada, be it a national arena tour or a one-off show in a 120-cap independent venue, and absolutely everything else in between. Now, understanding and harnessing this system creates a significant and scalable competitive advantage for Canadians and for all levels of government, and is essential for our artists so that they can continue to create and share the music that we love and need. And why wouldn't we? This is the question that you will be asking yourself when you see the findings. And as you do, I want you to remember that this study is a benchmark, and the numbers in it have been achieved largely in the absence of any dedicated policy frameworks aimed at incentivizing innovation and growth in live music. Of course, within our ecosystem, there isn't always balance. Different operators experience unique challenges. Smaller venues are especially vulnerable. This new data will help us to address that and other challenges we face in the sector head on, because the report makes it clearer than ever that protecting and growing Canada's live music infrastructure, our venue ladder, our ecosystem, directly results in more jobs, drives major economic impact for cities and towns, and creates more opportunities for Canadian artists. A healthy, thriving ecosystem, every rung of the venue ladder, means more fans choosing Canada when deciding where to spend their, spoiler alert, billions of music tourism dollars. It means more entrepreneurs, more jobs, more innovation, more risk-taking. It means sold-out hotels, fully booked flights, bustling shops and restaurants. It means togetherness and social cohesion. It means better mental health. It means thriving, safer downtowns. It means city building and placemaking. It means attracting and retaining other industries and talent to live, work, play, and stay in our cities. It means more revenue for artists and musicians. It means more music and more memories with friends and family that change our lives. The Canadian Live Music Association was established in 2014 to drive the narrative power of live music and to collaborate with members and with government to ensure increased capacity across the ecosystem. We are very excited, understatement, to share findings, to incentivize new thinking about the industry's true place and true potential for growth within Canada's cultural and economic framework, for governments and also for the private sector, where more innovative, collaborative partnerships are waiting for all of us. So, we hope this research will be a gateway to a deeper understanding of one of Canada's most dynamic and influential cultural industries, to level set and amplify the power and impact of live music for the benefit of artists and workers and Canadians and music fans here at home and around the world. Now, this would be the moment where I was to introduce our Provincial Minister of Tourism, Culture and Gaming, Stan Cho, but because the election has been called, he was not able to be here. And because the election was called, he may not be our minister in the future. Regardless, I would like to say thank you to MPP Cho for his hard work and his understanding of who we are and why we matter. His team have been such a pleasure to work with, and we wish them well in the coming weeks. So instead of remarks from the minister, I would like to take this moment to acknowledge some of our public funders who do absolutely understand the impact of live music and are working very hard to grow along with us. Funders who invested in this project include Ontario Creates, Creative BC, and the province of British Columbia, and the Canada Council for the Arts, whose support and partnership on this project made it possible. Thank you to our public funders. Now, as I mentioned, that the CLMA was created in 2014, and I was hired to dream, along with our founding board, and then to operationalize those dreams. And one of the very first conversations I had 10 years ago, and in COVID years, that's like 150 million. 150 million years ago, Christian Roberts, CEO and managing partner of Nordicity, and I would sigh longingly together. Imagine, Christian, if we could do a national economic impact study of all Canada. Imagine what the numbers would say and how it might help if only we had the data. Well, Christian Roberts, that pandemic thing might have slowed us down, but it didn't stop us. And now we have the data. Please join me in thanking Nordicity for their visionary work in the field and on this project, and welcome Christian Roberts to the stage to present our top-level findings.
All right, I need a minute. It's been a long time. All right, well, thanks, Aaron. Now I'm going to play with the clicker. So I'm going to take you through some top-level findings, as Aaron alluded to. Here's the agenda. So you're going to have to wait a minute or two before we get to those numbers that begin with B's. Because the most important thing that I'm going to do first is acknowledge my team. I'm going to stand here and say a lot of things, but they did the work. And so you'll see some of the members of the Nordicity team, for those of you who are in the room or here. But I want to provide a special shout-out to Megan Lynch, the puppet master behind our work over the course of the last year, as well as the rest of my team who you can see on the slide. So as Aaron alluded to, this has been a long and winding road to get here. I remember the moment. I remember that first conversation as if it was yesterday. We were presenting the results, or the initial results, from this work we were doing called Live Music Measures Up, which was the first time that anybody had ever figured out how to do the economic impact assessments in the live music industry. And we're sitting at TMAC, the Toronto Music Advisory Council, or committee or whatever, and Erin was sitting next to me. She's like, poke, 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 poke. Can we have one of those? What would that look like nationally? It's exactly that conversation. And we've had iterations of that conversation over the course of the last 10 years. They include, but are not limited to, this in 2018, doing the work called Hear the Beat. There's like a theme that we keep making the same pun over and over. In British Columbia, so thank you again for the support from out west. 2019, I took a little detour, did some work with APTN, and tried to understand how live music factors into the sort of Indigenous music world, which then we leveraged again in this study. And then in 2024, here we are with Here and Now. We've talked about an economic impact study, and it is that thing. It is an economic impact study, but it is also a variety of other impact studies, right? At the same time, it contributes to the economy, it drives tourism, it drives awareness of Canada, its artists, and so forth. And of course, the way that we do this is that Nordicity, as I mentioned earlier, we've developed an economic impact assessment tool that is by the live music industry for the live music industry. Basically involved me sitting in accountants' offices from a variety of venues and promoters and managers, and actually understanding how they spend their money, how they make their money, and trying to create an economic model from the ground up. But we couldn't have done this study without the participation of various parts of the music industry from coast to coast to coast, be that through our 18 community connections, over 50 stakeholders from around the country. We're doing roundtables, again, all across the country, or the more than 500 people who participated in our national study. Again, we're only the people who collate the information and give it back to you, but the industry itself is what drives the study. And so that level of participation only shows the interest and the importance that we see, that both we and, of course, the broader industry sees. But of course, why is this important? I mean, we talked about the basics. It drives the economic impact. But in our minds as economists, it is an irreplaceable pathway to sustainability in terms of both artists' careers, or music companies, or the music industry as a whole, both as a primary source of income, as a means for sustaining and developing talent in Canada, having them stay here. And indeed developing audiences which can then be leveraged for live music, for recorded music, or beyond. So of course, it is important in a number of different ways. Okay, great. You've heard me pontificate for a bit, but really now the moment that we're all actually here for, let's look at some big numbers, and they are big numbers. Based on our estimation, the live music industry in Canada contributes just under $11 billion to the to the Canadian economy each year, and at the same time, just about $3.75 billion of tax revenue across the country to provincial and federal tax coffers. And quite importantly, there's a little figure on the side, which is that it pays Canadians just about $6 billion in labor income. What that means is that's money put in the pockets of Canadians across the country, so directly contributing to livelihoods for over 100,000 people, or the equivalent of over 100,000 people. And now I'm going to give you what I'm sure you've all been waiting for, which is an involuntary economics lesson. So it's important when you think about economic impacts, and you see, I said FTEs, or we talked about GDP impacts, but it's important to understand that the music industry is integrated into the broader Canadian economy. So sure, we can talk about direct impacts. So that's the money that a business directly spends, or directly spends on labor and the profits it makes. That's sort of how it directly contributes to an economy. But of course, to put on live music, you need to do a lot of things. You need to have lights, you need to have sound, you need to hire a bunch of different suppliers. And so that creates what's called an indirect impact. And that stimulates a variety of different industries. And the live music industry is indeed quite integrated into a variety of different industries. And then what we call is the induced impact, which is the effect of me giving you money. So if I pay you to be the security at the door, you're going to take that money and then go spend it in the economy. So the numbers I presented earlier are an aggregate of these three different things. Okay, the test will be later. For those of you online, you get to skip the test. But let's put that in context, right? So that's great numbers. They're big numbers, but they could be higher or lower, and they would still look big, right? So to put it in a little bit of context, that is about 4 times the fishery industry. We hear a lot about fisheries. They get press, and they should. There's nothing wrong with fisheries. Fisheries are great. But this is an economic impact that is about 4 times that amount. And it employs about 3 times as many jobs as that same fishing industry. Again, I'm not picking on fishing. Love fishing. But it's about and about as many jobs as automotive. So if you can compare the press coverage that the live music industry has received over the course of the last ever, and the ongoing coverage of as it should be, of employment in the automotive industry, you can see the difference and see why it is that Aaron and I have been dreaming about this day for so long. All right, so those are the big numbers. Of course, the report that will be released shortly is not just about numbers. It's also about the narrative and the trends and opportunities that the sector provides. So when we reached out across the industry and heard people and what they were experiencing, we heard a lot about shifting audiences and trying to capture new and changing audiences and put their bums back in seats, or try to explain to venues why it is that they should still have shows when no one's buying beer anymore. And the financial pressures that those environments are changing. Climate events and the rise of and sort of anxieties and opportunities presented by digital distribution or AI. Again, these are themes that came up in every part of the country, so they're not localized in any one place. But it's not just about trends, but where do we go? How do we make those numbers that are already big even bigger? Maybe with some policy framework as an example. But what should that accomplish? It should maybe protect venues, support risk-taking, emerging artists, better engagement with that private sector now that they can fully see the opportunity that live music presents. Really looking at where there's systematic barriers to participation in this industry, which touches on every aspect in every community. Live music is an element. And we can read the others, but again, there's a lot of different ways that we can look to help these numbers grow even larger. And as I said, it's not the beginning of a story, but it's also not the end of the story. So where do we go from here? And as I point out, I'm an economist, and an N of 1 is not a trend. It doesn't tell me a whole lot. It's a very interesting number, and it's a great number, but it's one point in time. It's a fixed point. Is the number going up? Is it going down? How is it changing over time? This is only something that these are questions we can only begin to answer if we continue to take this industry seriously, continue to gather information, and understand, let's say we have a policy framework. What effect does it have? Is it helping? These are questions that we can only answer if we do this again. We can also recognize that there are some limitations of what we thought about live music. And one of the interesting parts about trying to wrap your arms around the economic impact of live music is that every time you try to define it, you find 3 more things that are live music that are like, oh crap, I didn't include that. Does it accurately involve all the money being spent on live music in the wedding industry? Seems trivial, but that's millions and millions of dollars every year being spent on that. The answer is no, it probably doesn't. So there's this kind of fractal pattern of the live music industry. So if anything, these big numbers, which are pretty big, are a conservative estimate of what the true full reach of live music is in Canada. But overall, I think the message we can take away is that more live music is more jobs, more opportunities for artists' career, and as a consequence, more economic potential for Canada. So I'll pass it back to Aaron.
Thank you, Christian and Nordicity, and a special thank you from me to Megan and Carly as well for all of your excellent hard work. So now you know. That was a quick snapshot, and it's now available on our website, both the executive summary and the full report, and the press release should be landing in your inboxes any minute. This project has taken a village, and it goes without saying that our live music community has been fundamental in helping to bring it to life. So next, we're going to hear some brief remarks from some of our favorite people who have each, in their own way, contributed significantly to this work. They've supported the CLMA with their time or their money or their input on the research, in some cases, all of the above. And they're just a few of the very long list of incredible folks who were a part of the huge lift this project required. And so those of you who are going to speak, we're very pleased that you could represent our community today. Our first guest is John Weiss. He wears many hats. He's the co-founder and executive director of Franco Connexion, the founder and president of Indie Montreal, a board member of the Canadian Live Music Association, and here today in his capacity as the founder and executive director of Les SMAC, the network of small independent live music venues in the province of Quebec. Welcome, John. Merci.
Hi everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. Merci Erin pour cette belle introduction. Est-ce que vous m'entendez? Do you guys hear me? Thanks. Cette étude d'impact économique confirme ce que bon nombre d'acteurs du secteur de la musique live savent depuis des années. En plus d'être un pilier de notre culture québécoise et canadienne, notre industrie est un moteur économique et touristique majeur. Les salles indépendantes sont un maillon fondamental de l'écosystème musical canadien, assurant son dynamisme et sa diversité. Chaque artiste qui monte sur une grande scène, que ce soit lors d'un festival, d'une émission de télévision ou d'un spectacle en aréna ou en amphithéâtre, a d'abord foulé des centaines de plus petites scènes avant d'y parvenir. Son premier spectacle tête affiche ici à Massey Hall ou au MTLUS à Montréal, par exemple, est l'aboutissement d'un long parcours qui s'est déroulé presque exclusivement dans des lieux de diffusion indépendants. Ces lieux n'opèrent pas avec des ambitions mercantiles, mais bien par passion, et ce, malgré la précarité financière qui définit leur métier. Les salles de spectacle indépendantes, malgré tout, contribuent à l'économie locale et à la qualité de vie de leur communauté. Ce rapport met en lumière l'importance de ces espaces communautaires et ouvre la voie à une reconnaissance accrue de leur contribution auprès des Québécois et des Canadiens. Nous avons désormais en main des données solides qui confirment l'ampleur de l'industrie que nous représentons et nous avons hâte de voir comment ensemble nous pouvons aller plus loin. Les lieux de diffusion indépendants ont besoin de notre soutien pour continuer à accompagner nos artistes québécois et canadiens, pour continuer à prendre des risques financiers et artistiques qui bénéficient à l'ensemble du secteur ainsi qu'à notre société, et pour permettre à nos artistes de donner vie à leurs ambitions. Donnons-leur ce soutien.
Merci, John. So now it's my distinct pleasure to welcome Rupa Vishwa, the Senior Relationship Manager, Media and Entertainment Sector at RBC, to the podium. RBC shares our understanding of why data matters, especially as it relates to opportunities we're all working on to create opportunities for emerging artists, and especially those emerging artists in our future. Please welcome from RBC, Rupa Vishwa.
Hello, everybody. My name is Rupa Biswas, and I'm the Senior Relationship Manager in the Media and Entertainment Sector of RBC. And today I'm joined here by my favorite colleague, Stephanie Lupinecci from RBC Foundation. And as you all know, RBC Foundation has played a very important role in this study, and I'm glad to be a part here today, part of it to be here today along with Stephanie. It's a pleasure, as I said, to be here as we launch the Canadian Live Music Association's Economic Impact Study. At RBC, we know the creative and cultural sector plays a very important role in building vibrant communities and strong economies. Now, you heard from Nordicity and Christian the impact of live music, and we saw some great numbers here. I'm going to talk to you about, in 2020, about the entire creative impact of the creative industries. In 2020, the creative industries in Canada provided over 600,000 jobs and contributed $55.5 billion to the Canadian GDP. That's about 2.7% of Canada's overall GDP. And Canada's export of creative goods and services was valued at $19.4 billion. Now, isn't that number fantastic? Wow, it's just wow. We also know the immense power live music has on our lives to inspire us and help us develop strong connections with one another. In fact, it was reported that 77% of Canadians strongly agree that the arts experience help people feel part of their local community. And not only that, it also provides us a sense of belonging, it lowers our stress level, and it overall improves the health and the physical and mental health. And that is why organizations like Canadian Live Music Association is so important. As the voice of Canadian music industry, they serve as a leader that demonstrates the economic, cultural, and social importance of live music in our lives. RBC has been a long-standing supporter of the arts sector and is proud to support the Canadian Live Music Association's economic impact study. This collaboration is part of RBC's broader commitment to help equip the generation of creatives with skills for a thriving future. It also reflects our belief in the power of ideas for people and planet to drive meaningful change in our communities. It is through initiatives like these we can illustrate the value and impact that live music has on our communities and in the country, both economically and socially. Now, thank you all for joining us today, and I look forward to the study that is being released and also get greater insights from that and takeaways, and I'm pretty sure we'll all have great takeaways from the study. Now, thank you all, and I'll hand it over to Erin again.
Thank you, RBC. Thank you, Rupa. Thank you, Stephanie. If you'd like to make an appointment to speak with RBC, please go through me. Your commitment to live music, seriously, is so deeply appreciated and meaningful. Thank you again for being here. Now, you will know our next guest as one of this country's most important, most talented artists, a fierce advocate, a brilliant, no giggling, a brilliant award-winning performer and songwriter, a champion of people and place, a builder of things like the Indigenous Music Summit, GTAA Records, and the National Indigenous Music Office. Please welcome my friend, the amazing Amanda Rayom.
Good morning. Making me nervous. So it's an honor to be here today, see so many familiar faces. So my name's Amanda Rayom. I'm a citizen of the Métis Nation of Ontario. My Métis relatives come from Red River, which is commonly known as Winnipeg. I also have Anishinaabe relatives from Lac Seul and mixed settler ancestry. So I was born on unceded Algonquin Anishinaabe territory in Ottawa, represent. But I currently pay rent here in Toronto. I'm not here very much, but I do pay that rent. So I'm an artist. I'm a singer-songwriter, performer, as Erin mentioned, co-founder of GTAA Records, and help with the Indigenous Music Summit. And I'm an advocate for Indigenous music in this country, and I am also a proud auntie. I put my first record out in 2003, which is a very long time ago now. And I started touring heavily in 2010. Before I started touring, I played like 4 times a week in Ottawa, in bars. If you've had a beer in a bar in Ottawa, I've probably played music there at some point. I've toured across Canada multiple times, Ottawa to Vancouver, to Halifax and back. Same with Europe, and most recently I had the privilege of touring in Australia. And I can tell you firsthand, I feel like I'm kind of preaching to the choir here, but I can tell you firsthand that as an artist, performing live and getting those 1,000+ hours on stage in front of audiences, playing over 150 shows a year for many years, has been consistently the most consistently important factor in being able to maintain a career in the music industry since I put that first record out in 2003. It is the only thing I have actually been able to count on for the last 20 years. When I started touring, I called every venue I could find on the internet. Banff on a Tuesday, sure. A cafe in Enderby, British Columbia on a Sunday, like Pass the Hat, warm meal, hotel, or not even a hotel, place to stay, whatever that means. It all sounded good to me. And I always said this, like, a day not playing when you're on tour was a day spending money. And it was, that was really true. It's still true. I've always found it a challenge to count on revenue from royalties or music tech companies, DSPs, that kind of a thing, in any kind of stable or predictable way. And, in my opinion, performing live has and always will be the most reliable source of income for artists that are live performing artists. In the age of, over 100,000 songs being uploaded every day, me neither. I also don't understand. For those on the live stream, someone's Siri just mentioned they don't understand. Okay, yeah, I really so strongly believe that the most effective way to stand out and find, maintain, and grow your audience is by showing up. By showing up in people's cities and towns and communities. And it's very true. People's behavior is changing as audience members. Like, I actually feel excited at the idea of doing a study on audience. Like, what do you think about that? I don't know, just what do people want and what are they doing and where are those kind of gaps? I think about that a lot. But something I've noticed is that people are spending more money on 1 or 2 shows a year instead of spending less money on more shows, and so that kind of stuff I think about a lot as a person that plays for a living. So I also think that I've heard it ever since I started, like, oh, you gotta leave Canada to make your career, to make it, and imagine if we didn't have to do that. Like, that would be incredible. I believe having audiences in different markets is important, but not at the cost or the stake of not having a sustainable career in your own home country. So this study is exciting to me because I think that, like you said, like, having this data gives us a starting place to start or to, begin making these arguments to the government and all those things. So that feels really, really exciting to me. And so lastly, I have so many things I could say, but I think I only have 3 minutes. Lastly, this report is awesome, and it's such an important study. And I feel like it's the first step in gathering statistics like this. We're in a world where, for me, with our work at the summit, like, having access to these numbers makes it possible for us to go and get support and to get money to do what we do. Same as an artist. So I look forward to the next phase of reporting, because the APTN study, it was awesome. I don't know if everyone's read it, but that too I felt like was just sort of a first step in understanding, for example, how the Indigenous music community, what's going on in the Indigenous music community, especially from a live perspective, and those unique challenges that lots and lots of Indigenous artists have in participating in the whole ecosystem. So yeah, I just look forward to to all of this really exciting data leading us in the direction of all coming together and and working towards a really, really inclusive and diverse, and where we're seeing everybody at the table in this music economy. So thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. I really appreciate you being here today. Beautifully said. Our final speaker before we get to the reception served as a board member to the Canadian Live Music Association for many years and remains instrumental in helping to shape the organization. As a champion of this project and many others, he has directly enabled a large amount of critically important work to happen on behalf of our industry through the CLMA. Please welcome Wayne Saronic, President of Business Operations at Live Nation Canada. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you. How do I follow that? How do I follow that? Thank you, Aaron, and good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you all. First, I'd like to congratulate and thank the team that spearheaded the development of this important report, led by the Canadian Live Music Association, Nordicity, and folks from all over the sector. The industry, actually, for once, banded together to generate the information required to produce this critical work. And as the report demonstrates, Live music contributes billions to our economy, employment for over 100,000 Canadians, and enriches our cultural fabric. What are we laughing at? Am I okay? Is that okay? It enriches our cultural fabric, all driven by Canadians' passion for live music and the artists that they go and see. The experience economy is thriving. We have seen the demand for live music experience grow tremendously over the past few years and expect it to continue to do so. People seem to be choosing to spend their money on experiences over things, and Canada has always played a vital role in the global music ecosystem, where some of the most passionate fans in the world make it a must-play destination for some of the world's largest artists. This report also demonstrates that making the necessary investments in venues and infrastructure and the conditions for live music businesses to succeed will help support Canadian artists and international artists, grow the sector, its economic impact, and create the conditions that allow artists to connect with their passionate fans. At Live Nation, we've made significant investments to help foster that growth, such as the Rogers Stadium, which is a natural response to the unprecedented number of stadium acts playing on the road today. We're bringing a new 2,000 capacity venue to the Byward Market in downtown Ottawa, which will help attract hundreds of artists and hundreds of thousands of fans to downtown Ottawa every year. The economic impact around these investments in the overall live music infrastructure in Canada is certainly undeniable, providing significant support for artists, local economies, job creation, and boosting tourism. The entire team at Live Nation Canada, numbering in the thousands, including venue staff, technical directors, producers, ticketers, marketers, promoters, sales folks, and all the other support functions that business entails, are happy to support this study and all the important work that Aaron and the entire team at the Canadian Live Music Association do day in and day out. So congratulations on this, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Wayne, and thank you to Live Nation for investing in the big picture. Okay, we're almost done. Thank you once again for joining us for this historic occasion in person and on the live stream. Hello, Mom. A final thanks. I'm just going to run through our final thanks here to some of the people and companies and funders who made this possible. I want to start with our event partners. I'm not sure if he's in the room. Chris Rickett, if you're here, the biggest live music fan you will ever meet. Thank you to the Greater Toronto Airports Authority. To Food Dudes, you're going to get to sample their delicious stuff in a little bit. And to the Corporation of Massey Hall, Roy Thomson Hall, the Allied Music Center, the whole team here, Jesse Kumagai, and your amazing family here at Massey. Thank you so much to our event partners. To our sponsors, once again, RBC Foundation, thank you. Live Nation, thank you. Ticketmaster, the City of Mississauga, Music Canada, Eventco, Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, the City of Brampton, Stageline, Blueprint, the Tourism Industry Association of Ontario, the London Music Office, the City of Hamilton, Lula Lounge, the Market Hall Performing Arts Centre, and the City of Toronto. Thank you, sponsors. And to our government partners, the Canada Council for the Arts, Ontario Creates and Creative BC, and the province of British Columbia. And finally, to our extra finally, Community connectors, thank you. Roundtable and interview participants, thank you. Survey respondents, thank you. Nordicity, thank you. Victoria Lord, our amazing publicist, thank you. Caitlin O'Brien, the insanely talented human who designed the report. And my amazing team, Maddie, Jasmine, Yvette, and Angus. But there is one more person that we need to thank. When this study was just a dream and we were still exiting COVID, I got this weird random message on LinkedIn from this kid I'd never met, didn't know. He just wrapped up his master's at Carleton and he was looking for work, and by some miracle, the universe put us in his line of sight. It was then that he started to stalk me on LinkedIn. It's then we started a wonderful back and forth that it would eventually see him join the team. And in his very first message to me, he said, "The values and vision of the CLMA are exactly where I see, exactly the environment where I see myself thriving." And he might have said that to every potential boss. But thriving he is. His persistence, tenacity, brains, and grasping of the big picture are really why we are all here today. He is also a remarkably accomplished composer and pianist. Please join me in thanking Sergio Para Aguilera for leading this project with the precision I'll just finish that line because I really mean it, the precision of a surgeon and the heart of an artist. My final thought before I throw this back to Victoria for a quick wrap up. As you will read in the report, there are so many more important statistics in this report than you had a chance to see today. When you read it, you will see that our sector has so many strengths, the diversity of our artists being number one. We are resilient and adaptable. We love to collaborate and partner, and we are community-minded. Today, Canada has an unparalleled opportunity to lead here at home and around the world in celebrating and harnessing the power of live music, and especially music tourism. By centering live music in the vision for Canada's future, we can create a legacy of cultural vibrancy, we can increase jobs, we can build economic resilience and community connections for generations to come. 10 years in the making, yes, but the future is beginning right now. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I do want to acknowledge so many of you I've known for 30 years, and I know lots of you are here to support me personally today. And a sidebar just to you, you know who you are. Thank you very, very much. From Aaron to you. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Victoria Lord, also a Canadian Live Music Association board member, and our fantastic publicist who has helped bring this together today. Victoria Lord.
Thank you, everybody, for being a part of it. Can we just get another round of applause for Erin? Just one of the most passionate, inspiring people in the industry, and it's been a pleasure working alongside her and her team. I just wanted to thank everybody for coming today. Unfortunately, we have run out of time, so we're going to unfortunately miss the Q&A section here. I don't want to keep you from the food dudes, but any media in the room, if you just want to connect with me, I can do or organize some one-on-one interviews. Both Christian and Aaron are available, and we can do that in this room. So thank you all for coming, and please enjoy. Thanks.